As a commercial landlord, are you aware of the potential risks, penalties, and enforcement arising out of a breach of the MEES Regulations? The first important message is that if a lease is granted or continues to be let in breach of the regime, that will not invalidate the lease itself. Therefore, the lease can still be enforced in the normal way and will remain valid as between the parties to it. Also helpfully, any breach is not a criminal offence and will instead lead to various civil penalties. However, unfortunately, that's where the good news stops, as the civil penalties are in themselves quite severe, depending on the length of the breach and the size of the property. So, for a breach lasting less than 3 months, the penalty is the greater of £5,000 or 10% of the rateable value of the property, and that's at the date of the service of the penalty notice, up to a maximum of £50,000. For a breach of 3 months or more, the penalty is the greater of £10,000 or 20% of the rateable value of the property, up to a maximum of £150,000. So quite high, but also those penalties are levied per breach and not per building or per landlord. So if you have a number of units let unlawfully, those fines could be multiplied across the portfolio or the building. A publication penalty can also be levied by the regulators in each case. And if such a penalty is imposed, then details of the breach will be entered by the authority on the publicly accessible part of the government's exemptions register, which would result in potentially adverse publicity for the landlord in breach. Now, it's the enforcement authority that decides how long that information stays on the publicly accessible register, but it will be at least for 12 months available to the public at large. So that publication penalty will in many cases be more important to avoid for reputational reasons. But overall, in combination with the financial impacts, this does mean that any liability arising out of a breach of the regime will be quite significant for all landlords.